Jazz. The night I finally stopped forgiving them, nobody knew. Not my family, not my friends, not even the people who had spent years telling me that I was too soft to stand up for myself. Jazz. They all thought I would forgive them. That was my mistake. I had forgiven them so many times that they started believing forgiveness was my weakness. They believed I would always be there. Jazz. No matter what they did, no matter how badly they treated me, no matter how many times they broke my trust, they thought I would cry for a few days, stay quiet for a while and then come back. Jazz. They were wrong, because there comes a moment in every person's life when something inside them changes. Not loudly, not dramatically. Sometimes it happens in complete silence. For me, Jazz. That moment came on a cold Friday evening when I stood outside my own family home and realized something I had spent years refusing to accept. The people I loved most had never been afraid of losing me. Jazz. They were only afraid of losing what they could get from me, and that truth hurt more than anything they had ever done. I stood there for almost a minute, staring at the front door. Jazz. Behind that door were the people I had trusted with everything. My mother, my older brother, Daniel, my younger sister, Emily, and the man I had once considered my closest friend, Michael. 4 people. Jazz. 4 faces, 4 reasons I had spent years believing that family and friendship meant something. That evening, I had come home expecting an explanation. Instead, I heard laughter, their laughter. Jazz. I could hear them talking inside. They sounded happy, comfortable, almost relieved. I reached for the door handle. Then I heard my brother say something that made my hand stop. She will forgive us, Jazz. I froze for a second. I thought I had heard him wrong. Then my mother answered, of course she will. There was a short pause, and then Emily laughed. She always does. I stood completely still. Jazz. My heart was beating so hard that I could hear it. They were talking about me, and they were not talking about me with love. They were talking about me like I was a problem that would eventually disappear. Jazz. Like I was predictable, like they already knew exactly what I would do. Daniel laughed again. Give her a few days, she will calm down. She has nowhere else to go, Emily said. That sentence hurt, Jazz. Not because it was true, but because they believed it was true. They thought I needed them. They thought I had no choice. They thought I would return. They had no idea that, for the first time in my life, Jazz, I had already made my decision. I slowly stepped away from the door. I did not knock. I did not confront them. I did not shout. I simply walked back to my car. And as I sat behind the steering wheel, Jazz, I looked at my reflection in the rearview mirror. My eyes were filled with tears, but something else was there too. Something I had never felt before. Clarity for years, Jazz. I had confused forgiveness with love. I thought forgiving people meant I was strong. I thought giving second chances made me a good person. I thought if I stayed kind long enough, Jazz, people would eventually become kind to me. But that night, I finally understood something. You can forgive someone without giving them another chance to hurt you. And sometimes, Jazz, the most powerful revenge is not destroying someone. It is simply walking away and becoming impossible for them to control. My name is Sarah, Jazz. And this is the story of the moment I stopped being the person everyone thought they could use. But to understand why that night changed everything, you need to understand where it all began, Jazz. Because betrayal rarely starts with one big lie. It starts with small things. A secret, a missing truth, a promise that is quietly broken. And by the time you discover what is really happening, Jazz, the people you trusted have already built an entire life around your silence. My story began 3 years earlier. At that time, I was 29 years old. I worked at a small design company in the city, Jazz. My life was not perfect, but I was happy. At least, I thought I was. I had a modest apartment, a steady job, a small group of friends, and my family lived only 40 minutes away. Gaz. My father had passed away when I was 24. His death had changed all of us, but it changed my mother the most. After my father was gone, my mother became quieter. She stopped going out. Gaz. She stopped seeing her friends, and slowly she began depending on me for almost everything. I did not complain. She was my mother, so I helped. Every weekend I drove to her house. Gaz. I paid bills when she needed help. I bought groceries. I took her to appointments. When Daniel needed money for his business, I helped him. When Emily wanted to move into a better apartment. Gaz. I helped her with the deposit. Whenever someone needed something, I was there. I never kept a record. I never asked for anything in return. That was how I had been raised. Family comes first. Gaz. That was what my father always said, and I believed him. But I did not realize that sometimes people hear the words family comes first and decide that means you should always come last. Gaz. Daniel was 35. He was confident, charming, the kind of person who could walk into a room and make everyone like him within 5 minutes. Gaz. He had started a small construction company after our father died. At first, the business was doing well. Then things changed. He started making bad decisions. He borrowed money. Gaz. He invested in projects he could not afford. And eventually, he came to me. I still remember the night. It was almost midnight. I was sitting on my couch when my phone rang. It was Daniel. Gaz. I answered immediately. Is everything okay? There was silence, then he said, I need your help. I sat up. How much? He told me. The amount was bigger than anything I had ever given him before. Gaz. I remember staring at the wall. I should have said no. I should have asked questions. Instead, I asked one thing. Why didn't you tell me earlier? His voice became emotional. I was embarrassed. Gaz. That was enough. I gave him the money. Every last dollar I had saved for a new apartment. He promised he would return it. I swear, Sarah, I will pay you back. I believed him. 3 months later, Gaz. Emily came to me. She needed help too. Then my mother. Then Daniel again. Each time I told myself the same thing. This is the last time. But the last time never seemed to come. Gaz. Then Michael entered the picture. Michael had been my best friend since college. We had known each other for almost 10 years. He knew everything about me, my fears, my dreams, my family problems. Gaz. He knew how much I had sacrificed for them, and because of that I trusted him more than anyone. One evening, Michael sat across from me in a small coffee shop. He looked worried. Sarah, I think you need to stop helping them. I laughed. Helping who? Your family. I shook my head. They need me. Michael leaned forward. No, they need what you provide. I stared at him. Gaz. I did not like hearing that. That's not fair, maybe not. But it's true. I became defensive. You don't understand my family. He looked at me for a long moment. Gaz. Maybe I understand them better than you do. I was angry. I left the coffee shop without saying goodbye. For the next few weeks I barely spoke to him. Looking back, I wish I had listened. Gaz. Because Michael had seen something I had refused to see. My family had started making decisions without me. Decisions that affected my life. Decisions involving my money, my future, and eventually on my home. The first real warning came on a Monday morning. I was at work when my mother called. Her voice sounded nervous. Sarah, I need to talk to you. Of course. What's wrong? Gaz. I think you should come home. I left work early. When I arrived, my mother was sitting in the living room. Daniel and Emily were there too. That immediately made me suspicious. What happened? Gaz. Nobody answered. I looked at Daniel. He avoided my eyes. Daniel? He finally looked up. We need to talk about the house. I frowned. What about it? My father had left the family home to my mother. Gaz. It was the only major thing he had owned. The house was not luxurious, but it was valuable. Very valuable. Daniel cleared his throat. Mum can't afford to keep it. I looked at my mother. She said nothing. Just when? Daniel looked at Emily. That was when I knew something was wrong. What are you not telling me? Emily spoke first. There's a buyer. My stomach dropped. A buyer? Daniel nodded. Jazz. We have an offer. I stared at them. What do you mean we? Nobody answered. I felt something cold move through my chest. Whose decision was this? My mother finally spoke. Jazz. Daniel has been handling everything. I looked at my brother. You decided to sell Dad's house? It's not like that. Then what is it like? He stood up. Sarah, listen to me. No, you listen to me. Jazz. My voice was shaking. That house belongs to Mom. Daniel's expression changed. It belongs to all of us. I stared at him. No, it doesn't. He looked uncomfortable. After Dad died, he left everything to Mom. That's not the whole story. My heart stopped. What does that mean? Silence. I looked at my mother. Mom? She lowered her eyes. That was the moment I realized something. Jazz, there was a secret they had all known about. Except me. I took one step backward. What happened? Daniel said nothing. I looked at Emily. Tell me. She began crying. And somehow, Jazz, that made everything worse. Tell me, Emily finally whispered. Dad changed the will. The room became completely silent. I could hear the clock on the wall. Kick. Jazz. I felt like the floor had disappeared beneath me. Emily wiped her eyes. Dad changed the will before he died. I looked at my mother. Is that true? She nodded. My voice became almost a whisper. What did he change? Daniel answered. He left part of the property to me. I stared at him. Part? Daniel did not answer. I looked at Emily. And you? She looked away. Jazz. That was when I understood. They had both received something. Something I knew nothing about. My father had supposedly divided the property between his children. Except me. I was the only one who had received nothing. I looked at my mother. Why didn't you tell me? Her face changed. She looked guilty. When? She said nothing. Mom. Jazz. When were you planning to tell me? Still nothing. I felt tears forming in my eyes. But I refused to let them fall. Then Daniel said the sentence that changed everything. You were never supposed to know. I looked at him. What? He immediately realized what he had said. Sarah, that's not what I meant. No. I shook my head. That's exactly what you meant. I walked out. Nobody followed me, not my mother, Jazz. Not Daniel, not Emily. I drove home in silence. I kept thinking about one question. Why? Why would my own father leave something to my brother and sister but not me? And why had my family hidden it? That night, I called Michael. He answered immediately. Sarah? I could barely speak. I found out. There was silence. Found out what? I told him everything. He listened when I finished. He said something I would never forget. Sarah, I think this is bigger than the house. I closed my eyes. What do you mean? I think the house is only the beginning. I did not understand, Jazz. But 2 days later I would, because on Wednesday morning I received an email. It came from a lawyer. The subject line contained my father's name. My hands started shaking. I opened it, Jazz, and the first sentence made my entire world stop. Dear Miss Sarah Bennett, we are contacting you regarding a legal matter concerning the estate of your late father. I read it twice, then a third time. Jazz. There was an attachment. I opened it, and what I saw inside was something my family had spent 3 years hiding from me. Something that would change everything. Jazz. The house was not the only thing my father had left behind. There was another asset, a business, a company worth far more than the house. And according to the documents in front of me, my name was on it, Jazz. I stared at the screen. My hands were frozen. For 3 years my family had told me my father left behind almost nothing. For 3 years I had worked extra hours. For 3 years, Jazz, I had emptied my savings to help them, and all that time, they had known. They knew my father had left me something that belonged to me, something worth more than I could have imagined. I picked up my phone. I called Daniel. He answered after 3 rings. "Sarah." I said nothing. He became nervous. "Sarah, what's wrong?" I finally spoke. I know silence. 3 seconds, 4, 5. Jazz. Then he said the words that confirmed everything. "Who told you?" I closed my eyes. Not "what are you talking about?" Not "I don't understand." He knew. He had always known. And in that moment, Jazz, something inside me broke. Not my heart. Something deeper. My trust. Because I finally understood the truth. They had not simply betrayed me. They had planned to keep me unaware. Jazz. They had built their lives around the belief that I would never ask questions. They had mistaken my kindness for ignorance. And now, they were about to learn the biggest mistake they had ever made. Jazz. Because I was no longer asking them for the truth. I already had it. And I was about to find out exactly how far their betrayal went. That was the beginning. Jazz. The beginning of the end for the life they had built around my silence. And the beginning of the life I had never been brave enough to choose for myself. But I still had one question. Jazz. Why would my father leave me that company? And why had my family worked so hard to hide it? The answer was buried inside a document that would reveal the real reason my family had betrayed me. Jazz. And when I finally read it, I realized that my father had known exactly what they were capable of. He had prepared for it. He had left me one final message, Jazz, and that message would become the key to everything that happened next. I stared at the document for almost 10 minutes. I could not move. I could barely breathe. Jazz. My father's name was printed across the top. Underneath it was the name of a company I had never heard of before, Bennett Holdings. I had seen the Bennett name thousands of times in my life. Jazz. It was my family name, my father's name, but I had never known that my father owned a company with that name. I scrolled down. Jazz. The document explained that my father had transferred ownership of the company shortly before his death. The company had not been closed. It had not been sold. It was still active. Jazz. And according to the legal records, I was the primary beneficiary. My hands started shaking. I immediately called the lawyer who had sent me the email. His name was Robert Hayes. He answered quickly. "M. Bennett." "Yes. Are you okay?" I looked at the screen. No. There was silence. "I understand this is a lot to take in. Mr. Hayes, I need you to tell me something." "Of course, Jazz." "Did my father leave this company to me?" "Yes." The answer was simple, but I was not prepared for it. "Are you sure?" "I'm certain." I closed my eyes. My voice became quieter. "Jazz, then why didn't my family tell me?" Robert paused. That pause made my heart beat faster. "You need to understand that I cannot discuss certain details over the phone." "Why, Jazz?" "I think it would be best if we met in person." "When?" "Tomorrow morning." I wrote down the address, then I asked one final question. "Mr. Hayes?" "Yes, Jazz." "Did my father know they were going to hide this from me?" There was another pause, then he said something I would never forget. "Your father knew exactly who he was dealing with." The call ended. Jazz. I sat there in silence. For years, I had believed my father was gone. I thought whatever secrets he had taken with him would remain buried forever. But suddenly, it felt like he had left me a trail. Jazz. A trail that began with one document and ended somewhere I could not yet see. My phone started ringing again. It was Daniel, then my mother, then Emily. I ignored all 3. For the first time in my life, Jazz, I did not feel guilty for ignoring my family. I felt something else, suspicion. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Daniel's voice. "You were never supposed to know." Jazz. That sentence kept repeating in my mind. Over and over again, you were never supposed to know. By morning, I had made a decision. I was going to learn everything. Not from my family, from the truth. Gaz. At 9:30, I arrived at Robert Hayes's office. The building was quiet. The receptionist checked my name and immediately knew who I was. "Mr. Hayes is expecting you." I followed her down the hallway. Gaz. Robert stood when I entered. He was in his early 60s, with grey hair and a calm expression. He looked like someone who had seen every kind of family problem. "Sarah Bennett, please call me Sarah." "You," he nodded. "Sarah." I sat down. Robert placed a thick folder on the desk. I stared at it. "What is all this?" "Your father's estate." I looked at him. I thought my father left almost nothing. Robert's expression changed. "Who told you that, my family?" He nodded slowly. "That's what I expected." My stomach tightened. "What does that mean?" Robert opened the folder. "Gaz, your father was a very careful man." I almost laughed. My father was many things. Careful wasn't one of them. Robert smiled slightly. "Perhaps you knew him differently." He pulled out a document. "Gaz, 3 months before his death, your father came to my office." "Why?" "He told me he was concerned about his family." I leaned forward. "Which family?" "Your family." My heart tightened. Robert continued. "Gaz, he knew your brother was in serious financial trouble." I stared at him. "Daniel?" "Yes, he knew." "Your father knew more than you think." Robert pulled out another document. "Gaz, he also knew your sister had significant debts." I closed my eyes. Emily, the apartment, the money I had given her. Suddenly, everything started connecting. "Did he know about me?" "Gaz." Robert looked directly at me. "Yes." "What did he know?" "He knew you were the one person in the family who would sacrifice everything to help the others." Tears filled my eyes. I looked away. "Gaz," Robert continued, "your father was worried that after his death your family would depend on you financially." I whispered. "They already did, I know." I looked at him. "How? Your father kept records." "Gaz." "What kind? Financial records?" He opened another folder. Inside were copies of bank transfers and payments. My name appeared again and again. Money I had given Daniel, money I had given Emily. "Gaz." Payments I had made for my mother. I stared at the pages. "Your father knew about these," Robert said. I looked at the dates. Some were from years before his death. "Why?" "Gaz." "Because he was monitoring the family's financial situation." I shook my head. "Why would he do that?" "Because he was planning." "Planning what?" Robert reached into the folder. "This." "Gaz." He placed a handwritten letter on the desk. My father's handwriting. I recognized it immediately. My hands began trembling. "What is that?" "Your father wrote this shortly before he died." I picked it up. "Gaz." My name was written across the front. "Sarah." I opened it. "If you are reading this, then I am no longer here." I stopped. My vision became blurry. I wiped my eyes and continued. "Gaz, I know you will want answers. You will want to know why I kept certain things from you. You will wonder why I did not simply leave everything to you openly. The answer is simple. I was afraid." "Gaz." I stopped reading. "My father." "Afraid?" I continued. "I was afraid that if I gave you everything directly, the people around you would take it from you. Not because they are evil." "Gaz." "But because I know how dependent they have become on your kindness. You have always believed that helping employees is the same as loving them. It is not, Gaz. Sometimes helping someone means giving them what they need. Other times, helping someone means refusing to save them from the consequences of their own choices. Sarah, I know you, Gaz. If I leave everything to you, I know what you will do. You will give it away. You will pay someone's debt. You will rescue someone from a problem they created, Gaz. You will tell yourself that you are protecting your family. And one day, you will wake up and realize that you have sacrificed your entire life for people who never learned how to stand on their own. Gaz. I could not continue. I looked at Robert. Why didn't you give me this before? Because your father instructed me not to. Until when? Until certain conditions were met. What conditions? Gaz. Robert opened another document. Your father created a trust. A trust? And I'm the beneficiary? Yes. What does that mean? It means the assets were protected. Protected from who? Gaz. Robert looked at me. Anyone who might try to take control of them. My heart started beating faster. Are you saying my family tried to take my inheritance? Robert did not answer immediately. Gaz, that silence told me enough. I stood up. Mr. Hayes, Sarah, did they know? Your brother knew about the company. My body went cold. Daniel knew. Yes. How long? Almost 3 years. 3 years. The exact amount of time since my father died. I sat back down. Did my mother know? Robert looked down at the papers. Yes, my heart sank. And Emily? Yes. I could barely speak. Gaz. Everyone knew. Robert nodded. Your father expected them to pressure you. Pressure me into what? Giving up control. I suddenly remembered something. 6 months after my father's funeral, Gaz, Daniel had come to my apartment with a stack of papers. Just sign these, he had said. I had laughed. What are they? Nothing serious, then why do I need to sign them? He had looked annoyed. Sarah, do you trust me? I had said yes. Without hesitation, I remembered signing several documents. At the time, I never questioned him. Now I felt sick. Do you have copies of those documents? I asked. Gaz. Robert searched through the folder. Finally, he found one. This? I looked at the signature, mine. Yes, Robert studied the page. This is important. What did I sign? Gaz. This document appears to transfer certain rights. To who? He turned the page. I saw the name Daniel Bennett, my brother. My heart stopped. What did I give him? Temporary control. Temporary? Yes. How temporary? Until you reached a certain age. I stared at him. I'm already 30, I know. Then why is this still active? Robert became silent. Someone had renewed it, I whispered. Gaz. Daniel, we need to investigate. I stood up. What else did my father leave me? Robert looked at me. Full control of the company. I froze. What? Your father gave you the right to take control now? Yes. Can I remove Daniel? Robert nodded. If the trust conditions are met. I looked down at the documents. For the first time in 3 years. I felt something stronger than sadness. Gaz. I felt power, but I also knew I had to be careful, because my family did not know that I knew the truth, and I wanted to keep it that way. I left Robert's office carrying copies of everything. I did not call my mother. I did not call Daniel. Instead, I called Michael. He answered quickly. Sarah, I'm coming over. His voice changed. What's happened? I know. There was silence. Know what? Gaz. Everything. Sarah, I'll see you soon. I ended the call. 20 minutes later, Michael arrived. I got into his car and handed him the folder. He looked at it. What is this? Proof. Proof of what? That my family lied to me. Michael did not open the folder. I stared at him. You warned me about them. Yes, you knew something. Not everything. Then tell me what you knew. Gaz. Michael looked away. Your brother contacted me. When? About 6 months ago. Why? He wanted information. About what? You. My heart tightened. What kind of information? Your finances. I stared at him. Why? I don't know, Michael. He sighed. He asked if you were planning to move. I remembered Daniel asking me the same question. Did you tell him anything? No. I believed him. Gaz, at least I wanted to. Then Michael said, he also asked if you were seeing someone. I frowned. Why? I don't know. I looked out the window. Something was wrong. Michael was hiding something. I could feel it. There's more. He remained silent. Michael. He pulled the car over, then he turned toward me. The night your father died, I froze. What about it? I was at the hospital. My heart stopped. What? Your father called me. I stared at him. Why he asked me to come? What did he want? Michael took a deep breath. He wanted me to protect you. Tears filled my eyes. From who? Your family. I shook my head. Why didn't you tell me? Your father made me promise. What promise? That I would not tell you until you discovered the truth yourself. I stared at him. Yours? What truth? Michael looked at me. Your family was trying to take control of your inheritance. My hands began shaking. How do you know? Your father told me. Did he tell you about the company? Yes. Did he tell you about Daniel? Yes. And my mother? Michael looked away. That was my answer, I whispered. She knew too, yes. I closed my eyes. Everyone knew everyone except me, Jazz. I thought about all the years I had spent helping them. The money, the sacrifices, the sleepless nights, the opportunities I had given up. And all that time, they had been hiding the truth. Jazz. I looked at Michael. There's something else. He looked at me. Your father's company was losing money. How much? Enough to cause serious problems because of Daniel. Michael nodded. Jazz. Your brother had debts. How much? Michael gave me a number. I felt dizzy. It was far more than I had imagined. How did he hide it? He moved money through different accounts. Whose accounts? Jazz. Michael hesitated. My heart sank. Whose? Finally, he answered. Some were connected to your mother's company. I stared at him. My mother had a company. I had never known. What company? Jazz. Michael looked at me. I think you should ask your mother. That evening, I returned home. I opened my laptop and began searching. I found the company, then the bank records, then the transfers. Jazz. My heart started racing. Money had been moved from my father's company into accounts connected to my family. But one transfer stood out. A large amount had been sent to an account under my name. I stared at the screen. I had never opened that account. I immediately called Robert. Sarah, someone used my name. What do you mean? There is an account under my name. Are you sure? Yes, Jazz. Send me the information. I did. A few minutes later, Robert called back. His voice was serious. Sarah, this account received a large transfer. How much? He told me. My heart dropped. Jazz, where did the money go? We are tracing it. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. The final destination is a company connected to Michael. I could not speak. My best friend, Jazz. The man who had warned me about my family. His company had received money connected to my father's estate. I called him immediately. This time he answered. Sarah, Jazz. Why is your company connected to my father's money? Silence. Michael, I can explain, then explain. It wasn't what you think, then what was it? I was helping your father. How? John, I can't tell you over the phone. I closed my eyes. Michael, I trusted you. I know. Then tell me the truth. I will. When? Tomorrow. I ended the call. That night I sat alone in my apartment. Jazz. My family had lied to me. My best friend had hidden something from me. And my father's final letter had warned me that this day would come. I finally understood something. Jazz. My revenge was not going to be about hurting anyone. It was going to be about exposing the truth. Every lie, every secret, every hidden transaction. I would uncover everything. Jazz. But I would not tell them yet. I would let them believe I was still the same Sarah. The woman who always forgave. The woman who always returned. The woman who always saved everyone. Jazz. Because they had no idea that I had changed. The next morning I called my mother. She answered immediately. Sarah, we need to talk. Of course, I want everyone there. A pause. Everyone? Daniel. Jazz. Another pause. Emily. Silence. And Michael. My mother's breathing changed. That was all I needed to hear. Tomorrow evening, I said. Sarah, I don't think that's a good idea. Jazz. It doesn't matter what you think. I ended the call. For the first time, I was not asking for permission. I was making a decision. The following evening, we would all sit in the same room. Jazz. I would bring the documents, the financial records, my father's letter, and the truth. They had spent 3 years believing I would forgive them. They had built their entire plan around my kindness. Jazz. But they had made one terrible mistake. They thought forgiveness meant I was weak. They never understood that forgiveness was my choice. And now, so was my final decision. Tomorrow, Jazz. They would finally learn what happened when the person they underestimated stopped protecting them. And when I placed the first document on that table, nobody would be prepared for what came next.